East Fishkill Town Board. Tonight is a workshop session, so if you'd please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. This is a work session, typically where the East Fishkill Town Board gets together as a group and we discuss matters of interest or matters of the town. Tonight, though, we have with us, as I said, I don't have any announcements, but we do have State Senator Terry Gibson with us. We're proud to have the Senator stop in. He's going to give us a little presentation on what he's been up to up there in Albany. And if you would, Senator Gibson, if you would like to take the podium, we'd be more than happy.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and board members. Thank you for allowing me to stop by tonight. I know you have a lot on your agenda, so I won't take up a lot of your time. What we're doing right now is we're in the midst of a local government tour. I'm the ranking member on the Senate Local Government Committee. Less than a year ago, I was sitting where you are in the village of Rhinebeck as a village council person there. So I have a great deal of sympathy for what you do, and I understand what it takes to...
Empathy. We like to use the word empathy.
Well, empathy's good too. Empathy's good too, but I've been there, and less than a year ago, I was a village board member, and I was a small business owner, and dealing with many of the problems that you're dealing with here today. And so I've made it a real goal of mine to try to stay in as close a touch as possible with the local governments to find out how we can best be of assistance, but also to report on a regular basis about what we're doing to try to help you. So a couple of things I wanted to mention to you. First, I wanted to thank you for passing a resolution supporting our constitutional amendment to prohibit New York State from sending down any unfunded mandates in the future.
That's 5126. We passed that at our last town board meeting.
Is that the resolution number?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And I wanted to thank you because, as I said to my board, you've been in our position and you understand the impact that these unfunded mandates have on local government, local budgets. And we supported this bill unanimously. And I wanted to thank you for bringing that bill forward because it's something that really helps all of us.
Well, I appreciate it, and every time another local government in my district passes that type of resolution, and we have reached out to all of them, it gives me a lot more support when I go back to my colleagues in the state Senate and try to push this bill. One of the problems with our government, which won't come as any surprise to probably anybody in this room, is that a lot of people have been there a long time, and there aren't a lot of new outsiders like me. And so getting these big ideas done to really change the way the government operates is difficult because most people aren't used to having to change anything up there. So this is a hard thing to get done, but it's necessary because New York State will continue to come up with ideas, some of which are good ideas, but want you to fund them out of the money that you raise. And the money that you raise here locally from your local taxpayers should be used to fund your infrastructure programs, the things that you're raising the money to actually do, not the ideas that New York State comes up with. So I believe heavily in ending the unfunded mandates. I wanted to let you know the other side of that, before next session rolls around, we are going to be rolling out a sort of a sister or a brother, I don't know what it would be, bill, a companion to that bill, which is going to work the other way. While we're trying to keep New York State from sending down any unfunded mandates, we also believe that we should be increasing the amount of funding that you receive as local government. And we think the best way to help you is to give you additional funding that is earmarked to fund the mandates that you can't currently fund.
Wow.
After having looked at all the individual mandates that are out there, they're very complicated. Trying to figure out a way to change the way they're laid out right now is a long-term goal. I think a shorter-term way of dealing with it and to giving you the relief you need is to advocate that we send money back to the local towns and villages that it's earmarked to fund mandates. So let's say that over the next 5 years we could get you between $5 to $10 million that maybe you could use towards your budget to actually fund mandates if you're choosing. So those are the kinds of ideas we're looking at. We're still refining it, and we'll let you know more about that.
Wow, I appreciate that.
Yep.
And I would agree with you. All these mandates you see come down from Albany, they all have a great reason. I mean, very few mandates are ill-conceived. They always have a great intent. Right. But nobody ever looks at the impact and the financial burden on those of us that have to enact these initiatives. So I'd really thank you for that. That's a really good piece of news. Just to let you know, and I do this, I write the governor letters.
Good.
So I
You
wrote him a
should.
letter. I'm going to send it out tomorrow. I'll send one over to your office. And when you talk about doing something about unfunded mandates, and one of the problems that I have with the business, I'd say the business environment in this state is it's too complex. There's too many laws. What we need to do, and it's not that I want to let business run rampant, push you some common sense, and let's look at maybe simplifying some of these rules, and then maybe it'll be easier to make mandate relief if we can look at the mandates, what they're trying to accomplish, and just make it work better. So I'll send the governor another letter tomorrow, and I'll
Please
CC your
copy us
office
on it.
if I may.
I don't think I could disagree with a word you just said.
Yeah.
It's all true. We have to reduce the cost of living here. The way to do that is to reduce property taxes.
Yeah.
They're too high. They've been high too long. And the way to help you reduce property taxes is to make sure that you receive more funding.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're in your court, and we'll be there for as long as it takes, or as long as we're there to do it. I also wanted just to report, I'm sure you know all this by now, but just in case, because I do have a hand in passing the yearly budget, we did advocate to increase your AIM funding this year. Unfortunately, the powers that be wanted to hold it flat, so we did at least were able to stabilize it and keep it where it was. So you should have, or you should be receiving about $63,890 in AIM funding, which is the same amount you would have received last year.
I believe we just received a check about 2 weeks ago.
That's good to know.
Yes, we did.
I'm glad to know that we actually do that.
And I believe it was a $63,000 that was about the amount.
I'm glad to know that
So
it
thank
actually
you.
works that way.
Thank you for that.
That's good. I've only been doing this for 9 months, so it's good to hear that the checks actually do come. So, also now the good news is there was about a 26% increase in your CHIPS funding. You should have received about $314,000.
Oh, wow.
A little more than that.
For the town of East Fishkill?
Yes.
Well, thank you very much for that.
So that should be hopefully helpful
Yeah.
dealing with some of your infrastructure needs.
And just to talk about budgets and such, and when you have and I have nothing wrong with the tax cap, the property tax cap. I'm fine with that, but without doing the other half of the job with the unfunded mandates is a problem. But what that actually does to us here, also the huge pension increases over the last few years, that squeezes the amount of money that we have for our infrastructure. And I hate to say it, our paving budget this year, we spent $700,000, and we really be needing to spend more like $1.25 million just to keep up. We have 194 miles of road. So an increase in our CHIP funding, I can't thank you enough.
You bet, and we'll go back and fight for more next year.
I appreciate that.
I mean, the infrastructure, the roads, the sewage systems, the water systems, they're all way, way overdue for repair across the county. Just in case your listeners, your viewers, your constituents, my constituents don't know, I represent Dutchess and Putnam County. Just to clarify, I represent every town in Dutchess except for Beekman and Pauling, and I represent 3 towns in Putnam. I represent about 307,000 constituents in that area. Our office is located in the town of Poughkeepsie on Route 9, right behind Red Lobster. So you can come get some seafood and then come see your senator. That office is manned Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, 9 to 5. You're welcome to come by, walk in, but you're also encouraged to call ahead and make an appointment. We'd be happy to help you out with anything. I just want to mention a couple other things we're working on that relate directly to local government, and then I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. You may have also heard about something called the Good Neighbor Act that we presented to the State Senate last year, or this past session. It's a bill that would help communities, if yours is one of them, that may have too many foreclosed homes or has a problem with home foreclosures. Yes. A lot of times what we're finding, and this was a direct request from the town of Poughkeepsie, asked that we help them with this. They have a situation there, a lot of communities do.
Goodness, their foreclosures are through the roof.
Well, what's happening is that banks will take over these properties, and they're not being good neighbors.
Right.
They're not mowing the yard, they're not fixing the broken window panes, they're not painting the house, and over time, they're lowering the property values of the surrounding area, and in some places, they're encouraging crime to move in those areas. So it's called the Good Neighbor Bill because we want to force banks to be good neighbors. So what this bill would do is it would beef up the current New York State laws. It would require that when a bank takes over a home, that they provide you with a name and a contact number of a person that you can actually call, a real person that you can call and hold accountable to taking care of the property. And it requires that they take care of the property. So that's something that you should keep an eye on. If you want to support that, we certainly appreciate that.
Absolutely.
We'll send you a copy of that.
Oh, we appreciate that. We just actually passed a law because we don't have anywhere near the scale of the cities, but we do have our own issues of foreclosures, and we actually adopted a law where after so many notifications trying to chase down the bank, we have people go out and then we put it on your tax bill.
Right.
Absolutely, that's a great thing, because if the banks would contact us, our lives would be a whole lot easier.
Right. So we're hoping that will pick up traction this next session.
Oh,
So keep an eye on that, and we'll send you a
Welcome.
copy in case you want to pass a resolution to support
Great.
that. The last thing is something new. We rolled this out right near the end of session, so we haven't talked about it a lot. But we're just concerned that in the short term we continue to lose way too many senior citizens in our communities, and when that happens, we're losing our role models. We're losing the people that know about the history of the community, and we're also risking a home going to foreclosure, or at least sitting there empty for too long. So we're finding more and more throughout Dutchess County that our communities are becoming lopsided. There aren't enough seniors there. Maybe they're, it's missing that diversity that our communities used to have that would help keep our local communities strong. So in an effort to help you, to give you a few more tools to work with, we have a tax deferment bill that we're working on that if it were to pass, it would give local governments the option, it would be your option, to defer a senior citizen's property taxes on a yearly basis. You would set the standards on what that deferment would be. You would be in charge of the parameters. But if you chose to participate in that program, if you had a senior that you felt you really think it's important to keep this person here, if deferring their taxes for a year would allow them a little bit of a break, then maybe you could offer that to them. And what it would do is it would still guarantee that you get the money. You would be guaranteed the money when the home changes ownership.
Okay.
So it's similar to putting a lien on the house. The only difference is that the money would be put into an interest-bearing account, so you would be making some interest on the money while it's sit there.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't work for everybody. It wouldn't work for every senior. It wouldn't work for every government. But we figure, the more options you have, the better.
Yeah. On a case-by-case basis, it actually might be
case-by-case,
very helpful.
Right.
Wow.
So those are just some of the things we're working on in terms of local governments. Not directly connected, but still connected. You should know that you'll also be hearing us talk an enormous amount about changing the way that we fund public education. While your portion of the tax bill is certainly significant, the school's portion of the tax bill is even more.
I'm going to have to stop you right there. Our portion of the tax bill in Wapner Central School District is approximately 14%. Of that, I believe 74% is the school district.
Right.
So, yes.
Yes.
Thank you for that. I didn't bring my pie chart tonight.
Right.
So.
So we understand that while helping local governments reduce taxes, what we really need to do is to help our schools reduce taxes to really make a severe dent in the cost of living. So we're going to be rolling out 3 very different ideas about how we could, if we chose to do it, change the way we actually fund public education. With the hope of to take it off of being strictly connected to the value of one's property. We don't believe that the value of your property should be the total way that we judge how much you actually pay into the school system. We think that will allow a lot of people to stay in their homes longer, and we think we can create a more fair way to fund our schools and also help improve the education in the process.
Wow.
So stay tuned for that.
That sounds terrific.
And I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Anybody on the board want to ask the senator any questions?
Well, it's something we talked about in Town Hall and on Cablevision tonight. There was a story that Startup New York, I think it's Startup New York.
Okay. Yeah.
Near Utica, there's going to be a new generation of
The chip
microchip
labs.
through IBM, $1.5 billion project, something like that. And then the story, the thrust of the story said that basically it would make the plant that's doing this generation of chip will be obsolete. And obviously we all have great concern about that.
I have great concern about it too. It seems more and more that at least the governor seems to be interested in moving that type of industry further upstate into the Albany area. I'm very concerned. We obviously have the facilities here, the infrastructure here, the workforce here to do that type of work, and we continue to advocate that kind of work be brought back here. We're kind of at a disadvantage because this sort of process, this roadmap they've laid out to make Albany that hub started a few years back, and my predecessor wasn't really fighting to bring that kind of business down here. So, as a new senator here, we're in a position where we want to see that business here, so we're kind of starting from scratch, but we're kind of a little behind because we're getting a late start at it. So all I can tell you is that I share your concerns. There aren't enough jobs here in Dutchess County, and we're losing more and more every day. And obviously, with the continual layoffs of IBM, which seem to just continue to be happening, we're going to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
And we got to keep the workforce here. We got to find a way to keep the jobs here and to utilize the facility. So I'm aware of it, and I will keep you posted on it as we dive into that.
Just to add to that, you know, going back, must be 15 or more years, the state actually bought the property that IBM is on, okay?
Right.
And so it's actually owned by the state.
Right, I'm aware of that.
And in addition to the jobs, which is a high concern, I would hope that yourself and the other local legislators would consider a bill, okay, stating that since the state owns the property and if IBM were to totally pull out, that the state would be responsible to pay the whole pilot that IBM is paying. I think that's our concern about the tax or the pilot money that we get, in addition to the jobs. But
It
that,
is.
the taxes would be a real hit.
It would be, yeah, it'd be about, for the town of East Fishkill, a little bit more than $1 million a year.
It's not a bad idea, and I definitely want to look into that. I appreciate you bringing it up. I wanted to mention, I have my chief of staff here, Brian Keeler, and he is taking very diligent notes of everything you say, just so you know. So we will definitely look into that. I know that's a big concern, and that's a very logical argument that you make.
Yeah. And thank you, Bill, and Ethel, for bringing that up. And Nick, you and I have discussed that. And,
Many times.
you know, we talk about the economics of the Hudson Valley and of Dutchess County in particular being linked with IBM as the largest employer in the county. Very concerning to see, as you say, it started years ago with the Albany Nanotech Hub up there moving up that way. But certainly, we would like to see IBM stay here in some manner, shape, or form. And anything that we can do, we would love to help. If you need letters, if we can meet with anybody, we'll make ourselves available. I'll traipse up to Albany, anything we need to do, Senator. This is that important to the town of East Fishkill and Dutchess County, and I appreciate you know, we've discussed this, and I know I've discussed this with your staff, and I know you understand and share our concern.
Right.
So anything we can do, we're here.
My chief of staff just gave me a note. I guess there have been some meetings in the last like 24 hours about this. So apparently we do have some more details that we can share
Okay.
with you. So he'll contact you separately.
I appreciate
And
that.
share you what you know. I know the county is very much working on this as well. We're trying to partner with them. My personal observation on this is that IBM is the real obstacle here. The IBM Corporation itself,
Yeah.
you know, trying to get them to be partners in any of this is what the real challenge is.
Exactly.
So we'll keep you posted on this.
I appreciate that. And, you know, as when we work, we're all in this together. You, us, the government, the economy, and IB, we're all linked, and we're all in this together. Anything we can do to work together to make this, and to make it a better business environment for IBM to work in too, because, you know, they have their needs. So whatever we can do to help make this work, we're here.
Okay.
And I appreciate you guys are going to get back to us. I know you have very good staff, and usually I get an email or a call from your staff at least twice a month, 3 times a month. So you guys are on top of everything, and it's just very good.
Well, we try to listen. You know, if our local communities, if our local governments are not strong, then it's hard for us to do the things that we want to do.
Yeah.
And you know, we need your support.
Yeah.
And we need for you to have the resources that you need. And that's really what we see our role as being. So.
Yeah. Well, I have to think it goes back to when you sat up here a year or two ago. You understand what it's all about.
You know, my senator never came to see me when I was sitting on the board. So
Yeah.
you know, that always bothered me. Any other questions, comments,
I have one.
suggestions?
What did you find the most shocking when, as a first-year senator, when you went to Albany?
Well, so it's a long list. I think just facing the reality that everything you heard was true, and that it was about 10 times worse than what you heard, and that there is a real resistance to change up there on any level from both parties. That my observation is that the resistance to change is not a partisan one, that it's equal in both parties. That the real problem is that a lot of people get elected and go up there and stay there for 20 plus years. My predecessor was there for 22, not counting his time in the assembly. That's not unusual. And it has created a comfortable environment that doesn't force the elected officials to deal with the day-to-day realities of the situations they're creating with the decisions that they're making. And it's the biggest problem. It's the biggest, sort of reality check that I've had to deal with, and to have conversations with senior senators that have been there, one of which has been there since Ford was elected president, and to try to have a productive discussion about how we can, deal with property taxes is very difficult. They're not accustomed to engaging in those types of discussions. They're not accustomed to engaging in those types of discussions amongst themselves, much less a newly elected official. So the key, I think, really is to continue to elect new people that are not connected with the Albany system. They're willing to fight the status quo across New York State. And if we can continue to do that, then I think that over time we will begin to reform the government so it works for everybody.
Thank
You bet.
That was a good answer. Good. Anybody else? Anybody, any questions for the senator while he's here?
Be happy to answer any questions, suggestions. I'm going to make sure to make an appointment with your police chief. We're going to go tour your facilities there at some point in the near future.
We appreciate that. Again, we're very proud of our police department.
Yes, sounds
They
like
do
you do a great job.
and we'd like to have you take a look.
I'll definitely do that.
That sounds terrific.
Okay.
Senator, thank you very much for
Thank
coming
you.
down. And please, you're more than welcome here in the town of East
Okay.
Fishkill.
Reach out to me anytime.
Thank
Have
you
a good
very
meeting.
much.
Take care. Okay, bye-bye.
As the chief follows the senator out the door. All righty. Well, that was nice. I tell you, they're very involved, and that concern, Bill and Ethel and Nick, is a very real concern of ours, and we just need to work together on this. So, very good. After that, I've been through the announcements. I just have a few items on the agenda that I want to discuss tonight, and brush drop-off is one of them. We've been getting calls about the brush drop-off across the street. We were going to actually open up the brush drop-off again September. I had said second week in September, but DEC had come in and they said, well, before you accept any more brush, what you have to do is grind up the brush that you have there on the site. So we've been grinding we had everything ground up, so I think we're ready to open again. So we're going to propose to open up the brush drop-off October 16th. That's a Wednesday. The hours, there's Wednesday through Friday. The hours are 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And on Saturday, we will be open from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Vehicle size from car to small trailer, six-wheel truck free. Vehicles larger than 6 wheels, $15 per load, and require a ticket. And tickets can be purchased at the town clerk's office. When you go there to the drop-off, you will need some kind of proof of residency, show us a license, a utility bill, something like that. So we will be opening up soon. And Tom, I did want to ask, we do have now already, from what we opened up, we have a sizable pile of mulch over there. And a vendor has asked if we would be willing to sell some of our mulch. Can we sell that as our typical surplus, as we do with our surplus?
Yes, you have to adopt a resolution. We've done it before.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
put out just ask if anyone else is interested.
Okay.
Get the quote, and then the town board is
Okay.
meeting with adopt, declare it surplus and stuff.
Okay, very good. So maybe we'll look into doing that. I mean, it's not going to be a whole lot of money, but it'll help offset some of our costs of the grinding and all that, so.
Is the grinding completed?
The grinding is completed. I haven't been over there yet to see, but I'm told there's a large pile over there as we speak. So I'll be doing that. I don't know how long you want to keep it open to. I was thinking, I mean, we're in mid-October now, so, at least end of November, but then it's going to be kind of dependent on the weather. Because we're not going to have anybody over there if you get stuck in the snow. We're not going to be able to really maintain it if the weather gets bad. So I think we'll have to cautiously say it'll be open most likely till the end of November, and then we'll have to take it from there. So my wife will be very happy because I missed the last brush drop-off. She's just hoping I can make the next one.
So is that standard, the DC makes you grind up everything?
Yeah, they've been a little more diligent on these things now. So, yeah, they want to make sure it's done, and they want to make sure it's going off the site. So what we're going to have to
Ground
do...
and removed?
And removed, yes. So if they don't take it, we'll be giving it to residents. We may actually always have a pile for residents as we speak. We'll be using it with our highway and with our recreation department. We have to get rid of it.
Disperse it,
So,
okay.
and that is their biggest concern, so. So we'll see, but we are ready to open, so we'll open again on the 16th. And then I did want to talk a little bit about project updates. And Scott, I have to ask you, how's our wells coming?
Well,
We're drilling wells across the street, so everybody knows. We've drilled one well last, in
One
June
well
or
we
whatever.
drilled, which
Well,
is
we
our
drilled,
second- which is our
we
second
drilled
rock well.
quite a few test wells, and then we
Test wells.
finally did our rock well.
We have one production rock well from the
Turned out
last
very good.
round of testing.
Yeah,
We are on the second rock well, about 50 feet away, and the rock has changed a little bit, so it's complicated things. Had a little difficulty sealing the casing to the rock. The hydrogeologist made like a field decision to, rather than drill down 10 inches the full way, just to go 6 inches down to about 420 feet. They've hit some really good seams. We're going to be flushing in the next few days to check our water quality, and depending on that, they'll make the decision whether to maybe go to an 8-inch or a 10-inch, depending on how the water quality comes on. They'll also make a decision for the third and final well, how to proceed with, what size bit and casing, et cetera.
Okay.
So it's
Would
been
we
a
do-
little time coming to get the second well going, but
Yeah.
we have got it down.
well, it's been a long time just to get the well driller there.
Yes.
I don't know if there's anybody looking for a new profession, but it seems like if you're a well driller,
Well,
you're
for
a
the
very
larger-
busy
To be able
person.
to go to like the 12-inch casing, 10-inch
Yeah.
casing, there's not as many people that can handle that.
Oh,
size
really?
casing.
That's what it is. So we have specialized well drillers. They handle the larger
There's
casing.
a less
Okay.
of a
Because every
crowd
time we
that can
talk,
do
I
that.
say, where's well driller? It's gonna be 2 more weeks. And that
Yeah,
was
I think
6
it's 2
weeks
more
ago.
weeks, yeah.
So, but they are there, they're drilling, now they're on the second well, they're gonna
Yes.
decide if they're gonna go down. How deep are
Well, we
they?
won't go any deeper.
No,
We're
no.
down 420 feet.
Okay.
First well's around 320 feet.
Anything for yield or any,
Well, the equipment that we use to drill can only go up to 200 gallons a minute, so we're already at the 200 gallons a minute.
Okay, okay.
Question is, can we get 300 or 400 gallons a minute out of the well? So that remains
Okay.
to be seen.
All righty. And the third well, we would be drilling when we're satisfied with the second well?
Yes.
Okay. In the same vicinity also?
No, it's probably a good distance away, probably 400 feet away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Does
the first two
weather,
are kind of next to each other just for redundancy.
Yeah,
And the third
yeah.
one, so we can pump simultaneously, will be some distance away.
Okay.
does weather play a part in drilling these wells?
Not so much. I mean, it's the big well rig. You can't go in there in the snow, preferably. But the plan is to be done before the snow comes.
Before the start.
Good, that sounds good. Also, I did just want to touch base a little bit on the development across the street. We've been talking about going ahead and developing a senior project across the street, and we have gotten we've sent out a bunch of, well, we advertised, we got a lot of requests for the packets for, our requests for qualifications. We've received 4 of them back. How do they look? They look like the companies that responded are qualified? The qualities that, with the RFQ? Yes, shoot.
Yeah, okay, well, I wasn't
Yeah,
sure.
He's not the engineer.
Yeah, I mean, we had 4 responses.
Yeah.
And, I think there's definitely a different level of degree between each respondent in terms of the size and magnitude of their
Yeah.
projects. I think they're all seem to be qualified to put together a project like this, although I think if you look at them, maybe some have a little more experience than others, but I
Yeah.
think they're all
All
qualified to submit
qualified, okay.
proposals.
All right, and I guess the next step would be to actually put together an RFP and circulate them.
I think we were going to maybe use all 4, ask all 4
You think
to
using all 4 of them, and they're qualified, so we send out the
Yeah,
request
I
for
mean, the board has
proposals.
the option of either interviewing them first
Yeah.
before we do the proposal or wait till afterwards.
Yeah, and the board all has copies of the RFQs, and if everybody's okay, what I've seen, they look like they're all of a certain qualification to handle
So
the
that would be the next
project,
step.
so. So we'll have to talk about over the next few weeks, we'll be developing an RFP. I suppose, Tom, we'd have to set a resolution to authorize an RFP? I don't think we did that originally.
Maybe we should just review the process. This round was just to have interested developers submit their qualifications and conceptual ideas and thoughts, so that if you deem all of them to be qualified,
Yeah.
your next round would be to have them actually submit a proposal to the board, which would constitute both, this is what we propose to build, and this is how we propose to pay the town, what we would pay the town for the
Okay.
use of the property.
All right.
Now, Tom, would it be just limited to those 4?
Well, right now, that was
Right.
the
I would-
intent,
yeah.
but I don't think, there's nothing in law that would preclude you from entertaining another one. But these people have at least stepped forward,
Right.
offered their qualifications, at least two of them, if not three, had like a
Yeah.
generic
Mhm.
conceptual idea of what they wanted to do, so.
Yeah, two of the presentations were very impressive.
Yeah.
And they were all qualified, I agree. Two stood out to me.
And of course, the town board, I think, before it goes for proposals, has to really discuss a little bit about the type of mix that you may want. You want, because from the submittals, some are proposing a mixture of rental and individually owned
Owned,
units.
yeah. I
And
think-
others are mixed
Yeah.
variations of that.
I think maybe what we should do, obviously, we'll get our planner, Michelle Robbins, back. Norma Drummond, who's the chair of our zoning board, is very, very well up on this issue, and maybe we could ask Norma if she would like to sit in. And a town board member, anybody want to volunteer to sit in on this? And we can have a little discussion about the type of mix, and then bring it back to the board, and we could discuss the mix with the board.
And I think a good point to make is that the parcel is about 150 acres.
Yeah.
All of the proposals would preserve over 100 for the general public use, open space and trails, and only use part of the
Yeah.
other part of the land, and still leave some for the townships.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you talk about the purchase of 147 acres, it just has a lot of possibilities. So, absolutely. And also, I'd like to bring some of the people that were in on the original proposal. We had the original group that sat down and did the conceptual
Oh, yes.
proposal on that. Fred Wells, who's on our CAC, was very good. Malcolm Mills is very interested. So we can bring a couple of those people back to take a look. So I would say, actually, maybe I'll see if we can form an ad hoc committee. Oh, probably mid-November, bring everybody together. Who on the town board would like to? Bill, would you like to sit in?
Sure.
That be okay?
I just,
Ethel?
yeah,
Yeah.
I won't be here, but,
Okay.
I would just like to see that, quite honestly, that the town board, okay, the
Lead agency?
lead agency in it, that the town board together, that everybody sit down, go through a number of plans, decide where to go,
Yeah.
okay? And to be the one, steering the bus here,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
the
yeah.
developer,
No,
not a
not the developer,
committee,
yeah.
but,
Yeah. Well, I would just take information from
Right.
people that know,
Yeah,
but
right.
absolutely. This is probably the most important
I agree.
development in the town of East Fishkill,
agree.
being of its location
right.
and in the potential. So I couldn't agree with you, but we want to do this right.
And I think, you have the potential right here of this area, really being a focus, a town center, really bringing it,
To a new level.
bring it to a
Yeah,
new level.
yeah.
And, I wouldn't be in any rush to do it. You can do it in phases and,
Yeah,
and,
No, that's a
that's
good
only my
point.
opinion.
That's a
Not
good
that it counts
point.
very
And-
much, but.
we're not going to rush it, but we'd like to
Right.
get some input and see how this project goes.
Yeah, I'll sit on in that with Bill also.
Would you like to?
Yeah.
Bill? Okay,
Great.
okay. All right, because I was going to sit in, but why don't you take my spot?
Okay.
You and Bill do it, and then you can get back to me and let me know what you think.
That
I'd
sounds good.
appreciate that. Oh, good, thank you, Nick. That's a good idea. All right, so Bill, you and Nick would be the two liaisons from the town board on the project, and we'll set up a meeting and see how this goes. Very exciting, a lot of potential over there, and we'll see how it goes. So very good. And we will be looking at out of that, we will develop the guidelines for our RFP and see how that goes. So, all righty, very good. And I think that's it for projects. I don't think we have anything else going on as far as projects these days. Wildflowers complete, Scott?
Yes, Wildflower is complete, operational. Everything's working fine.
Good.
We're moving along with our modeling on the water system. We're trying to exhaust every possible option.
I don't want to ask where the tank is today. Every day I ask where the tank is somewhere else.
Cost
Yeah.
and service.
Yeah.
We're trying to find the right balance, so.
Oh, I appreciate that. And also, when we talk, you also have an eye to the bottom line,
Yes.
understanding that there's a cost to all this, so, good. And I tell you what, I have never seen it, and I'm gonna have to go down and take a look on your computers and see what this computer model looks like we got from Bernier and Larios. It was Bernier and Larios, correct?
Yes, we don't actually have the model here.
Oh, we don't have the model here?
Software program.
Oh, really?
Right, we'll have to buy that program. We'll be able to download the model.
Oh, okay.
We don't have that software.
Oh, we don't have it yet. What are we using?
I'm sorry.
Did they build a model for us then?
Well, it's on their computer, their software.
Oh,
We would have
okay.
to buy that software, and that's the intent. Ultimately, we should buy the software. and then
Okay.
we can
Because-
manipulate the model ourselves, so.
You know, in the grand scheme of things, what we will be doing, as a matter of fact, looking back on the 1987 report, the townwide water system. Not now, probably not 5 years, but I would say with 10 to 15 years, we'll most likely have a townwide water system. You know, with this here, Fishkill Plains, Lake Walton, if that gets developed, and to tie together all these systems into one. So the model will be very important. So, all righty, great. And Wildflower's good to go. We've resolved everything. What are they doing as far as the computer talking from the lift station to these?
We're gonna go cellular.
Are you gonna go cellular?
Yeah, the antennas can't get through the trees.
Okay, cellular's gonna be
So it's
okay
gonna be
though?
cellular.
Okay. That sounds good. I didn't even know you used those kind of things between lift stations and,
New technology.
it's amazing, it's amazing, so. All right, that's about it. I did want to just say a couple things about the budget. The Comptroller and I finished our tentative budget on September 30th, gave it to the town clerk, as by law is required. It was presented to the town board October 4th. It was as law, which was required, and now it becomes the preliminary budget. And it's going to be posted on the website. I don't know if it is today or not, but it will be posted on the website for the public to view. Worked very hard on the budget. As I said to the senator, when you see what I call the fixed costs of the pension going up as they are, and the contractually obligated medical costs, you get squeezed, and it leaves you less and less. And we've cut and cut, and the comptroller and I went through the general fund budget for probably the last 3 weeks, just really cutting. I think we have a very good budget. We're appropriating more of the fund balance than we had planned to this year, but we hadn't seen the mortgage taxes come back. But when Mark and I talk about it, if the pensions level off next year, and if a couple things go our way, which we think, you know, the economy will turn if the mortgage taxes come back just a little bit. They don't have to come swinging back, but they just have an uptick. We see that next year should be a very positive town budget. But as we both agree, this is probably the hardest budget we've ever done. So the board's got the budget. It will be on the website for the public to take a look at. And we'll see how it goes. And if anybody's got any questions, please contact the comptroller.
You did a lot of cuts.
Yeah.
I've been reviewing
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
It was tough, but you know, it's reality.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, we're in good shape. We're in good, solid fiscal shape, and I think that's one of the biggest things. So we're very proud of it, and we just have to keep working at what we're doing. So that's all I want to see on the budget. Just going forward, you know, I think it's going to take just a little bit here and there. We're going to be in very good shape. So that being said, I just did want to turn, one thing I did want to mention too, and as we're talking about the well fields over there and the well testing and all that, when you look at the budget, we've outlaid probably at this point $200,000 out of our general fund budget. At some point, we will do a bond for our enterprise fund over there, and that time, the $200,000 will come back to the general fund. So when you see an appropriation in the general fund of, say, $400,000, you know, you can say to yourself in the back of your mind, well, $200,000 is coming back, and whatever more it takes to develop our well field. So these are things that we'll see coming down the road, and that, in my mind, is an investment. So we're in very good shape. So that's what I want to say about the budget. The comptroller's not here, so I could say it. If the comptroller was here, he'd be going like that or something, I don't know. Anyway, I did want to ask for the various reports from the town board members. I'd asked the board if they wanted to speak on anything, and I thought I'd like to know how's things. I didn't make the rec meeting. I didn't hear about the rec meeting the other night, but how's things in recreation going?
They're going swimmingly. You had asked about lights on McGrath. I guess, you know, some people are meeting about it. I think Scott was involved in a meeting, or...
Yeah.
This is for the parking lot?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Just for the parking lot, only for safety. That's the main thing about it. And it was discussed a little bit about it, and they would like to set up a meeting, I think, Mike Kaiser and Janet, and they'd like to be involved with it as
Absolutely.
much as possible, so.
And I'd like to thank, I think, Scott, it was your idea, because we had the problem out there. What happened was football was practicing, their practice started at 6, and it was getting darker and darker. We have 2 light plants out there that we rented for this
Right.
month and a half to get us through until we can do a more permanent solution.
Well, I think the impetus was Community Day, they were having the Ketchum John Jay soccer game. And for safety,
Yeah.
Needed the lights.
They had brought in, and I know they had 1 light plant at that time, so.
they did, so,
But we'll have to take a
I
look.
think a light plant was $675 a month, so for
Yeah.
$675, you got light for a month, so.
and
Yeah.
quite honestly, having been involved in recreation for many, many years, lighting is wonderful, but I think we're about lit up.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we can minimize the amounts of lights by using something like we are, and not risking at all safety, I think that's what we should be doing. So I think they're on the same page too.
Good. That's
And that
good.
was about it,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah, that's been the big thing, so we'll see how that goes, so. And that was something that just came up, I don't think anybody really
Right.
saw that coming, so.
Just to let you know too, there was a small discussion about, once again, a lot of the teams would like to consider possible signage, okay? But I think they're on the same page in terms of it can't be permanent signage, it has to be temporary signage.
Yeah.
So I think that probably in the next couple of months, they will be coming
Would
to
you
us.
be okay with that, Nick, something like that? If the-
Absolutely.
If the rec board wants to send just some ideas to us, we
Correct.
could consider them?
I think they're going to get together. They had spoken
Yeah, I
with
had
Tom.
spoken to the rec board
Right.
because the law is, in the state controller's
Correct.
opinion, is that the fields obviously are owned by the town.
Mhm.
So if there's gonna be a permanent signage attached, that revenue goes to the town,
Right,
can't go to the leagues. So the compromise was if they put banners or things that they put up while the game's on and then they get removed and left,
Mhm.
then that's a league issue.
Okay.
right,
But if it's anything permanent, the state control's opinion says that any revenue derived therefrom has to go to the general fund
correct.
for the support of the park.
Okay, good. And Bill, you'd be okay considering that?
Sure, yeah.
All right, that sounds good. One thing, and I hate to throw this out because it's only mid-October, but this happens every year. I would like to get started on the league agreements, the insurances, the rosters,
Right.
and all the camp people. And this, I don't want to wait till, as it seems like in the past, we've always getting this stuff late in the year. So maybe after the first year, we'll start taking a look at recreation.
The league agreements, I went over it with the rec board many months ago.
Yeah.
I submitted to our insurance carrier for their comments. They did give me some comments.
Oh, good.
So I'll be delivering to the rec board hopefully in the next few weeks, the revised draft.
Okay.
And then that would be the one we would hopefully work on.
Okay,
And what
good.
that is that many of the leagues that run teams for the town, in the town, use town facilities, but they're really separate, not-for-profit agencies. And as such, because of liability issues, insurance issues, the integrity of the coaching with background checks,
Mhm.
et cetera, these agreements would be a formalization of the relationship between the town and the leagues, and would clearly define who's responsible for what, and our insurance carrier is the driving force behind it, obviously,
Yeah.
and also our need to make sure we know that the fields are being used in an appropriate manner.
Very
No,
good.
no, this is the same league agreement that we've been working on since last season,
Yes.
Mhm.
so they still haven't come up with a final draft.
No, what happened was I sent it to the insurance company, then we changed carriers, and we had some.
Okay.
delay.
So the draft that the board recommended, the rec board
Well,
recommended,
they made
hasn't changed.
recommendations and
Yeah.
changes, many of which were acceptable. The insurance company has proposed some additional language, so this new draft would be one final version for the town board and the leagues. But as I've explained to the rec board, it will really be the town board's decision that if this is the agreement that a league has to sign to use the fields, that will be the agreement.
So after we review the agreement, we accept it, we can make changes. Does it have to go back to the rec board, or can we just make the changes and
No,
adopt
the
it?
rec board is only advising.
Yes.
Okay, Okay, so that once the agreement's adopted, it would then go to the various programs,
Leagues, right.
and they would sign off on it, and it requires, you know, the background check.
They have to implement whatever's in the agreement, okay.
Because we found that there were many things going on that we needed control. If you remember, the board had passed a resolution that during lightning storm,
That's right.
that the fields had to be cleared because to some of our shock, it wasn't happening all the time. So that would be, all those kinds of rules now would be formalized that they have to be adhered to for them to use the field. The other thing is that we found that some programs modify the generally accepted rules. We all know that Little League has a set of rules, or football set of rules, that are nationally recognized as the standards for weight and age groups, et cetera. We did find that some programs had modified some of them. So these would really require that the general accepted ones from little, whatever they're affiliated with, be followed, and then if they do make any changes, that it's reviewed and approved by the town. Because obviously any change in these rules goes to a liability issue if someone gets hurt, God forbid.
Now, since we're talking about budget time, in there, is there some sort of provision for the leagues to help out with the cost of,
To pay a fee?
yeah,
There is the mechanism for that, but the details of which would have to be decided.
okay, because, you know, economic conditions, unfortunately, we can't just foot the bill for everything.
One thing that it is discussed in the agreement is, there are certain activities that I guess the leagues do perform, like striping of certain activities. So that's an expense that's unique to that sport, so perhaps they should absorb that.
Okay,
As opposed to mowing the lawn and the fences.
yeah, right,
Which is for everybody.
yeah, exactly,
So
it's for
that part
everybody.
is, I think, clear, but if there's gonna be any fee or contribution, that's something that we have to decide.
Okay.
So when I throw the ball for my dog in the field, he doesn't care what the striping is, but he does like it to be mowed. So, that's
And he
good.
follows the rules.
What's that?
And he follows the rules.
And he follows the rules, absolutely, so. All right, thanks, Ethel, thanks, Tom, that's good to know. Bill, any reports?
Yeah, from the police department. Just so the board knows, late in the summer, we were running critically short of usable vehicles in the building and engineering departments and the recreation security people for their patrols. So rather than buy a new one, I went to Captain Dowdy, because we had 4 Tauruses that have come on service in the police department this year, and there were 4 grand Crown Vics that were taken off, and I asked Captain Dowdy if there were 2 cars that were in good enough shape for that use, and he said yes, and provided the 2 for us, and that's working out very, very well. A lot of advantages. They're noticeable for the park security people.
Yeah.
John and I found out that even people on the road think they're police. Even police think
I
they're
had no
police.
idea what he was doing.
Yeah, we stopped at a traffic light, and
There's an
there was a
officer
sheriff's
coming.
department guy waving, come across.
Well, he
and
didn't wait,
John
he
didn't.
just sat there, and I said, well, there's a sheriff, I'm not crossing here, not realizing
And
I'm
I
in a
said-
cop car.
Finally, the guy goes like this, and I said to John, I said, he thinks you're a cop. you
Yeah,
know,
now he's
so-
all upset with these official cops because they bucked protocol here or something, so.
So that's worked
Yeah,
out
Bill,
very,
and then
very
Bill
well.
said,
and-
Bill, you were kind enough to point out to me, he was letting you go.
He was letting you go. And Lieutenant Keith said probably we would only gotten $1,000 to $2,000 at best for those cars. So I think it was a good savings for the town. I also, from Lieutenant Keith, got a report on the activities of the police department since September 10th. So this is the past month, activities that they've been involved in. At the next town board meeting, the lieutenant said he will get the board a 3/4 summary of, or the chief told me this, 3/4
good.
summary of all of the police
Activities.
activities and arrests and so forth through
good.
September, I guess, so the end of September. Since September 10th, the police department has made 21 arrests. Included in those were, and I won't read them all, but one was 2 felony grand larceny arrests and a conspiracy pettit larceny arrest, which concluded an investigation of thefts from Hopewell, CVS, and AP stores. What was going on was a couple guys would go into those stores, gather up expensive items, as expensive as they could get, carry them out, and get into an awaiting car and speed off. Our detectives and police officers viewed the films and we found out, our detectives found out that similar activities were going on in the town of Poughkeepsie, so coordinating with the town of Poughkeepsie, arrests were made in that case, 3 people, the 2 people who were doing the stealing and the getaway driver.
Bill, the thing that they were stealing, that was interesting, it's a baby formula.
Baby
That's
formula.
one of the main things. that-
And I never really understood why, and you see, you go to a store, baby formulas and they're locked up in a case now.
Big money.
Big money in baby formula.
Really? They also made an arrest for felony DWI, a felony DWI drug case along with possession of cocaine, felony domestic violence case involving a strangulation charge, a drug task force case involving felony drug possession. Another one, an officer made a routine stop on patrol and found 2 suspects in possession of a hypodermic needles and a loaded shotgun. And it was, both were arrested, and they felt that Lieutenant Key felt that arrest might have prevented more serious crime. Other cases involve warrant arrests and traffic-related misdemeanors. As of this morning, our detectives were actively investigating 9 burglaries. I think Lieutenant Key said it went down to 8 because as he was typing this, one of our detectives made an arrest,
Okay.
solving one of them. 2 arsons, 1 robbery, and 2 stalking cases. Some of these involve multiple jurisdictions, so our police are actively coordinating with Town of Poughkeepsie, City of Poughkeepsie, and surrounding police departments. So they're busy.
Very good, very good. No,
We
I'm
actually
very,
had a 3-car, if everybody noticed the traffic this afternoon
Mhm.
in the village, backed up the wrong way.
yeah.
There was a drunk driver hit 3 cars down Beekman Road, 82.
Oh, I heard the
Late
plectron.
afternoon, early evening.
Yeah. Okay, no, I'll hand it to we have a very good police department. I'm just still a little shocked and mystified about the black market baby formula, but I guess I'll get over that one. Anyway, you guys do a great job, and I really appreciate everything our police department does. Not all towns have their own police department, but I do find that having our own police department is definitely an asset to the well-being of our citizens. Nick, now you see, and I went by the new kid on the block now.
No.
Nick, anything to report?
No arrests in the planning and zoning
Thank
department.
goodness,
so
you know when there's arrests in
that's
planning
always
and
good.
zoning.
All our professionals and volunteers are working very hard, thankfully. And
Good.
unfortunately, we are being sued by Homeland Towers. They had a application for a cell tower that was denied, and we're very confident. Tom, you want to expand on that at all?
The only thing I would say, I thought we actually put a lot of due diligence
Yeah.
into that.
We
into
hired a
that.
separate radio
Yeah.
frequency
I think the
engineer.
zoning board did their work.
Yeah.
They certainly followed the procedures. They did deny it for very substantial reasons. The applicant brought a lawsuit against the town in federal district court. The federal judge is deciding on some procedural issues and then will ultimately render a decision of whether the zoning board acted correctly or not. It's not as much as acted incorrectly, but more so, it has a lot to do with the radio frequency requirements. And what the public should understand is that the federal law supersedes the town, and that if they can show a certain standard of need, then we cannot prohibit a cell tower. And in this case, the zoning board felt they didn't show the requisite need. To be continued.
To be continued, yeah.
And this
And,
case is being heard in White Plains?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Unless the judge moves back to Foley Square, then it goes to Foley Square.
Okay, and everything else is going well with our boards?
Yeah, very
Yeah.
good.
I watched the zoning board the other night, and they're doing a fine job. Diane, our planning board too, so we're very...
Yeah, our chairs are
very happy.
excellent, and
Yeah.
all our professionals, thank goodness. for them.
Good. We're still getting sued on that other case, though, correct? We had that application, and I think we just got notification of that other lawsuit. We're being sued on a project that...
On the housing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That, as I said at the last meeting, it was a notice of claim filed.
Yeah.
Our attorneys are going to conduct an examination, which municipalities are entitled to do, of the claimant to find out more details of the claim.
Okay, and we'll see how that goes.
Right.
Okay, very good. Anything else, Nick?
No, that's about it.
All right, I think that's it for tonight. We really didn't have a lot to discuss. The board does have the budgets, and I know they'll give it a good going over. And any suggestions you have that we're sure not shy to adopt. So let's see what we can do. And with that, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. I'd like to thank the Senator Gibson for stopping by. And the next town board meeting will be the voting meeting, October 24th. And just to remind everybody that we'll be closed, the town hall will be closed for Columbus Day. So Monday we will be closed. I did also have another announcement I've forgotten that, what was that, rebuilding together? That's for when it's already been adopted. There's going to be rebuilding on, I believe it's October 26th. They're going to be rebuilding a house, I believe, in our town. I will say this, though, Rebuilding Together, which is a great nonprofit, and they come if you're elder with financial issues, you can make an application for Rebuild Together. They will come to your house, and they'll just, like, for a day, all these volunteers will descend on your house, and they'll do painting, plumbing, electrical, everything. They're a great organization, and we have one for the 26th that's already been picked. But I would like to point out, and I think you check our website, I think that Rebuilding Together is still looking for people who are in need of this type of a service. So any seniors out there own your own house that are in financially difficult times, contact us. We can contact Rebuild Together, and I believe it's also on our website. So it's a great thing. That was sent to our board as far as if we wanted to go and see them. I went to one last year. And I got to tell you, what the volunteers do is just a wonderful thing. And the seniors were just thrilled that, you know, these people came out and did this for them. So it's a great program. All right, and I think that's about it. Nothing else to announce tonight. So with that, we'll see everybody on the 26th. Thank you. 1 second. And as everybody knows, this is a workshop session where the town board discusses matters. But we have a gentleman in the audience who'd like to come forward. So Marty. Oh, the election? Yeah. Oh, we have an election coming up. Marty brought this up. Election is November 5th. I believe it's the 5th this year, right? And you actually, Marty, that's a good thing, is there's been changes to the voting districts and there's been changes to the polling places. Some polling places have been eliminated. So to vote on November 5th this year, the Board of Elections is going to send you, I believe it's a yellow card? I think it's a yellow card. Yeah. Check your yellow card because, like myself, I always go or I always vote. And there's been changes, so you want to make sure you know where you're going to vote this year. And if you have any questions, you didn't get your yellow card, contact the Board of Elections. They can let you know. And I'm going to go home and check my yellow card tonight because I've forgotten all about that, Marty. All right? Great. Thank you, Marty. All right, with that, we'll adjourn, and we'll be back here on